Hey guys, what is going on? My name is Ultra, and welcome to a new video series. Today, we're going to be checking out Planet Zoo. This is an absolutely amazing zoo slash theme park simulator. I absolutely love this game. It's so amazing, and when we finally get into the animals and stuff, they're so adorable, they're so cute, it's just so much fun to play. This game is actually a real pleasure. So today we're going to be checking out this game and building what I hope to be a great Australian zoo. That's going to be our overarching theme. And to start off, we're going to be building the most important part, which is the entrance, right? You want to make a grand entrance, something that really helps people feel welcome and have a little bit of awe when they walk in, and they know they're coming to some place that's really special. So that's the thought process I'm starting with. And going with that, there's a very famous landmark in Australia, and I've never actually been there myself yet. Hopefully one day, but I'm basing this on photographs of the very famous Sydney Harbour Bridge. Now, I'm not going to be making a clone. This is not going to be an exact replica of the bridge. I don't think that's going to be possible for me to do, but I'm going to do an homage, like a theme based on that. And the theme is basically a couple of towers with a bridge connecting them, like an iron girder bridge connecting the two or the four towers together, two on each end. So that's the idea I'm going to be going with. And I'm going to be doing a lot of experimental construction and just testing things out and seeing how they fit together along the way. And I'm going to try and narrate the best I can as we go, but there's going to be certainly some periods of time where you just sit back, enjoy the music, and enjoy the build. Okay, so right now I have my basic construction set up, like the idea of what I want the towers to kind of look like. I'm trying to avoid like a ziggurat type shape. That's my fear as I was doing this. I'm making like these like layered construction levels, and I'm like, oh no, I don't want this to look like a ziggurat type pyramid. That's not what I'm going for. I was going for a tower, like the actual bridge, the Sydney Harbour Bridge. It has kind of like tapered tall towers. Now, the walls cannot, in this game, the construction walls, they can't be angled, they can be turned left or right, like horizontally, but they can't be angled vertically. They can't tilt them in to make like an A-frame, for example, with the walls. There's other things you can tilt, but not the walls themselves. So I'm trying to figure out a way that I can show a change of width as we go up, and I figured the best way to do it is just kind of have like a step and do it that way without trying to avoid that ziggurat type shape. Now, I know right now you're thinking, Ultra, this thing looks like a prison cell. Like, I know it's pretty basic so far, but it's one of these things. Like, I don't know if you guys ever painted like, any of your artwork or Warhammer or anything you guys paint. Like, when you first start out, it's kind of like, wait, don't look at it till it's done, right? So it's a process. So be patient, and everything kind of comes together. And by the end result, I'm actually very, very happy with how it came out. And I'm one of these kind of people that always, no matter what, I always kind of don't stop changing things. Like, no matter when I think it's finished, I definitely have that tendency to keep adding and adding and adding till it can get a little bit much, but it's definitely going to be an amazing, amazing build. So right now I'm just adding on the kind of like a floorboard, and I'm using a limestone colored wall. There is a few different options for different kinds of bricks, and the actual Sydney Harbour Bridge itself looks to be made of like large gray stone bricks, but I thought that the limestone actually looked a bit smoother. It looked just a bit cleaner for me. It's just, my personal preference, but you could definitely get away with doing it brick, with the brick motif as well. So here I figure that these oval shape or half oval shape pieces on the side are going to be like little gardens. Like, they're going to act as kind of like, I don't know, how would you describe it, as like a buttress maybe to help support the tall tower, but they're also going to double as a garden area in the back. And I figured I may put a little side door on one. So what I'm going to do is basically I'm going to construct these buildings. I'm going to construct one and try and clone over the rest. And I'll make some small changes to each building to make it a little bit unique as we go. But the essence is definitely going to be the same, just as a matter of time-saving technique. It's just you copy your buildings, you can kind of copy and paste them over. And it's always a work in progress. Like I said, even once a project is done, you might come back to it in a week from now and be like, you know what, I just don't like the way this looks, and you can change it up. And that's definitely open in this game. In this game, nothing's ever permanent. You can always change. Yeah, so right now I'm just adding on a couple decorations windows just to kind of feel it out. Like, what do I want to do? What's the theme? You know what I mean? Like, I have the theme, but what do I want to do in terms of artistic expressions here? Like, what windows, what little accents I want to put in, some Roman columns, different stuff like that. Yes, so as I said, the greater theme of the project is going to be Australia, but like obviously this entranceway here is going to be a little bit more, they call it, in the game, they call it a classic theme. You know, like a classic zoo theme. I guess it would be a classic, more of like a classic London theme, or like a, maybe like a New York zoo type idea, like with the architecture. It's definitely not like traditional Australian, but this is just the entranceway. I want to have, again, this brickwork to match that famous bridge coming into our zoo. Yeah, so just adding some stone railings now around to give it like depth and dimension. Like I have that, again, I'm trying to avoid that ziggurat pyramid shape. So by adding this, I'm really trying to avoid that by making it look like it's almost flowing up, by giving it like a terrace balcony up on top. And a little, you know, a door there just to give it a little bit of a look. And again, just continuing on with the artwork and just testing out different ideas and different things which I think might really flow well with the project. So now we're inside the building. I just thought I'd add a little bit of artwork inside. They have like these stone carved like seashells and fossils they have inside, just to kind of give, when people walk into the zoo for the first time, they'll have a little bit of an impression, a little bit of the grandeur of what's going to come with having these stone facades, I guess they call it, inside. And then I get into like a little bit of a tricky part. Eventually you'll see with the roof here. I'm trying to figure out a way to add a little bit of depth to the roof around the edge, the banding, and I'm not satisfied with how this looks at all. And so I thought maybe I'd try these large limestone, like, I'm not sure what these are called, like roof decorations, I guess. I'm not sure exactly how to describe them. It's kind of like this, like a cinder block or like a limestone block. And I tested this out for a while, but I don't end up sticking with them. I find a much better solution with a little bit more experimentation. All right, so now I'm going to spend some time filling out the garden, just while I'm pondering the roof. This is what I'm doing. So I'm taking a break. So if you're come to a point in your construction where you're just kind of like stuck, like I don't know what I want to have there. I know what I have there now. I don't want. That's for sure. But I don't know what I do want. So I'm taking a break, and I'm going to go to actually select the Australian or the oceanic biome to try and bring up some local Australian or oceanic type foliage and trees to try and fill this out a bit in my little garden side buttresses here. And yeah, and this really helps me actually, and hopefully guys, it'll help you too when you do this. Just take a break, do something else, and come back to it. And once you think about it a bit more, you'll get re-inspired to figure out something else. So I'm filling this out with a couple of different color bushes. I don't want to make this too complicated because I know it's going to be copied and pasted over. And I think actually for that first one, that first garden, I forgot to actually, you know, attach it to the building, so it gets left out, but I'm able to copy it over without too much trouble. But this one here, I'm actually able to actually connect to the building. Like all the plants are actually connected to the actual building itself, so when I copy the building, the plants will all go at the same time. But that first one, the other side, was a little bit of a mistake there, missing it out. So here I'm just gonna copy manually a few trees over, and once you have one, it's easy just to duplicate them quickly around like so. Okay, I'm gonna start to put out some lights now. This is actually from the New World set, a lot of these. the lights really change the whole dynamic of the building, especially obviously at nighttime. But it really changes the whole look and gives it like a real personality when you put the some good decent lighting in. And honestly, like when you're outside the building, you can do all kinds of different aesthetics you can do. But like you saw those New World ones in the ceiling inside, like if it's hidden, it doesn't matter what the type of light is. Like these ones here, these little flat ones, these are also from the New World set. They're not part of the classic set. But again, it doesn't really matter. But it's going to have really cool ambient glow like off the roof. I think it's going to have a really awesome effect. And I'm just going to continue on with the building decorations. So just trying to give the building some character and trying to think of different ideas that I can come up with to give it a little bit more than just a flat surface, just a little bit more character. And then it just actually leads me to this part here, which is I've decided to put something, which actually they do have in the Sydney Harbour Bridge. There is an actual kind of like balcony looking type thing. It's actually obviously a lot bigger than what we're going to have here in terms of scale, but we're going to, I thought it'd be fun to actually have a cool little fake, just like a decorative balcony. It obviously doesn't have any purpose and people can actually walk on it, but it has this cool effect. Now this part actually took a while. I was trying to figure out what door, like what can I put here that's going to go, and I had a hard time selecting something because nothing really fit. I'm like, I don't know. So I'm trying all the different themes, all the different doors of everything just to see like what would work. And I ended up just going with like a larger window. That seemed to make the most sense at the time, and I think it actually suits it pretty good. It's just a decorative, style balcony. Doesn't serve any purpose, but it's kind of cool. And I thought I'd maybe finish it off with a little bit of a planter on the outside. Okay, so we're back now to this top portion of this building, and something just really wasn't sitting right with me with it. I just did not like the way it looked at all. And you can see I'm trying different things, like different ideas I could possibly kind of what would look decent, what looks organic, with these roofs, these angles. I'm trying, I did like the look of the copper, but not those angled roofs. Like, it just wasn't working for me. So I'm trying to put some trim on maybe. And then here I realized when I get to the front of the building that the wall sections were not lined up properly. So I had to quickly just grab the walls, and I was just going to reset the walls for this top section. Like all the like the door, whatever decorations I had on there were still be fine. It's just the actual walls themselves. And then this should have solved the problem there. Put those roofs back on, and now put back with the trim. It should have solved the issue with the trim. So I'm going to decide to go with these green roofs and just test out and see how it looks. Those things on top were terrible. But I'm going to expand the copper idea and just kind of get a feel for it. And then, the more I play around with it, the more I realize this actually could work. There could be something here. Let's try and fill it in and kind of see how that goes. So I start putting a little bit more walls in, more wall decorations. And then it turns out that of all the options I found, this ends up being the best. And so I decided to finish it off with some decorative toppings just to kind of see really how it plays out when I'm done. And then I end up sticking with this plan more or less with my final design. So this is like the direction I'm going with. I mean, it's not completely filled out yet, but this is the basic, like I said, the basic structure that we have. And now I'm going to put a few more, not too many, just a couple more details in here to kind of give the wall a little bit more depth and texture. And yeah, I've copied this column piece over to give it, kind of break up that solid long wall a little bit, and give it a little bit more life. Yeah, and I'm also gonna add the extra details like I had in the bottom, which is like the corner pieces. Again, all these little small things, it really, really adds to make your piece really come alive. So you've seen like we added a few smaller details, which again makes this really seem like a live piece, like the ladder, the little bollards inside, the wheelbarrow. Just like little small things like this, just give it a little bit more life. Again, as I was saying, just testing out again different things to finish off this piece more or less, because we're at this point we're more or less done the general thing. The lighting is not complete yet, but we're gonna test out now. Now I'm kind of seeing how to copy this thing, because again, I want to have two spawners, guest spawners, which are those squares we had, those squares inside the building, and then which will lead across the bridge to two exits. So it's the two paths join to one, split off to two again. And from there, the park they'll rejoin again afterwards. But yeah, it in my mind at this point it was like, yes, this makes perfect sense. So yeah, so I copied and pasted everything over. Yeah, the plants did not get copied from there, but so what I decided to do is I decided just to copy from this side, rotate them, flip them around, and stick them there. Because that one side that I never properly attached to the building in the beginning is coming back once again to haunt me. I decided to add some soil to the bottom just to give it like a darker texture. Again, it doesn't have to be exact for this part. I just wanted to give it the perception of darkness of soil underneath the plants. At a glance, it'll look dark, but don't worry too much about getting this kind of stuff exact. So yeah, now we're finishing off our pathing, and then I realized that the path won't connect properly when you're on a grid to a path that already exists. So yeah, you have to actually go like this and make my own like fork-shaped path, and then from there we're going to start our bridge. So yeah, so here the path is coming out straight, and here we go up over, and yeah, we're gonna tunnel out underneath. This is just to give us an impression of what we're gonna have and where it's gonna be. And I tried to round the corners on the inside, so I was struggling with this for a few minutes, and I just decided to give up and do something more decorative instead. And I thought it'd be fun to continue on with our classic theme by putting in some of these copper or green iron, whatever you want to call them, gates. Yeah, so at this point here, the center of this fountain has like a magnet, and it's clicking everything in. That flower got sucked into the middle of the fountain. I had no way to move it besides moving the whole fountain piece. And here I'm just gonna make an offshoot for a staff path because I need power for my the lighting fixtures. So I need to somehow put a staff path off to the side where we're gonna have some light. Now I'm just very, very generally digging out like the lagoon, which I can have. And I'm definitely gonna, at this point, decided what I'm later on going to make this into, I believe, like a crocodile type enclosure, so people can actually see the crocodiles as they're walking over the bridge. That's what I think I was at this point pretty much decided. So I'm digging this out with that kind of knowledge in advance. So I'm just testing it out. And again, this is not final for the lagoon shape. It's just kind of giving me an idea of where I want to have things and where I want the water to go. So now I've decided to add some more lights under the bridge, and we're going to get a little bit wild with the lighting and stuff like that, as you'll see later on in the video. All right, so for the second major part of this build, we're going to be moving the two structures over, opening the backs up, getting rid of some things, because this is where it's going to be the actual ticket gates here. So there's the spawners, and they're going to come across these ticket gates, and we'll have the paths coming out, and I think I have to actually move the building over a bit. Yeah, the pathing was a bit of an issue here, trying to figure out exactly where to go and line everything up, but I think we got everything going pretty okay. I wouldn't say it's lined up 100% perfectly in terms of the pathing, but I can only handle so much pathing issues where I kind of just say it's good enough, it's close enough. So it'll be the two exits from the bridge into the actual park. So you can't actually get anywhere into the park unless you pass through these buildings. That was exactly what I wanted to happen. So you come in from the outside, you spawn in those two front buildings, you cross the bridge, and you must pass through these two ticket counters. And there's all kinds of decorations and stuff on the way. Yeah, so I absolutely did not like the way the pathing worked here. I decided to move everything and fix this issue because it was driving me absolutely crazy. There we go. I think we all got lined up now, more or less. And the part that's still not lined up, but I kind of just gave up. Well, I guess you can call it giving up on, was the bridge path is not dead center in all these. And I was just like, you can see it's off by like a tile. I was like, forget it at this point. I was like, it's fine. It's close enough. It doesn't matter. And yeah, so now I'm copying all the buildings, moving everything over to make sure everything lines up and matches exactly with the entrance. Okay, so with the buildings copied over, it's time to do a little bit more decoration. I want to fill this out a bit more. And as you can see here, actually, the gate did not line up perfectly with our size, so I had to double up over it, but it's okay because you can't really tell. And then we go to this chain part here, and this part here, it was super frustrating for me because the whole thing did not line up, and I forgot about clicking the highlight button where you can highlight multiple objects at once, and it was driving me nuts to try to remember how to do that until I figured it out afterwards. But in the meantime, I just lined it up a little bit more straight, and then I did this again, and it came out actually really good without actually having to adjust it. So it just takes a little bit more time to do it straight the first time. You don't have to worry about moving it afterwards. Okay, so I'm just admiring what I've done and just looking at different things I could change. And a lot of things I'm going to look about changing is actually lighting. I'm trying to decide where I want to have more dramatic lighting. And this is actually going to be a little bit of a happy accident coming up pretty soon. So I'm trying to figure out how I can light up the front of these buildings. And I decided to try out these spotlights, these big stadium lights. And again, you'll see the happy accident we have when we discover what happens with these lights when the actual sunset comes. And then I decided to fill in the area here between. It was too small for a fountain, unless I did a really small fountain. And I figured we have a fountain in the front. It's not something I wanted. So I set the realm to oceanic, and I was looking at different oceanic / Australian plants I could use to fill it up. And I really like these. I think they're called gumroot. I'm not sure because I don't remember the name, but this is very from the Australian pack. These are very Australian-looking trees. I thought this looks perfect, and I use these bushes. I think they're called like scalia bushes or something. I'm not sure, but it gives off great growth. And I thought maybe it'd be fun to throw in a couple of red, Australian-looking rocks to kind of fill it up. And so yeah, that's more or less the garden there done. It gives it a much more, even just a couple plants gives it a much more amazing feeling. Now, I have to try to figure out how to put a power plant in here because these lights will need power. And I wanted to test that out to see what it looked like at night. So as far as I understand, the building with the ticket things already has power, but I needed a power from my front gate, like my guest spawner. Because I believe those buildings actually give off power. Those ticket counters give off power. I believe that's how it works. And then I realized I also forgot the balconies off the other buildings. So just a matter of quick copy pasting and moving those over to match up. And that's pretty much it. And so at this point, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to fast forward the time because I kind of want to see what this place looks like at night. So as time is going, I'm going to start filling out with a couple more trees and looking around to see what else I could do. But the thing with the lights is I need to see how it looks like at night before I decide whether to add anything else or to keep it the way it is. So here we are at night, and you can see these stadium lights I put on are just way, way, way too bright. They get like washed out, reflecting off the limestone. I don't like the way it looks at all. So as the sun's coming down, I'm kind of looking around, getting an idea of where these lights are, what needs to be improved upon, and I can really see these lions need something. And then I try these lights again and put on the front, shooting up, and it has an amazing effect. I love the way this looks. And I decided to change the color. I decided to do each line a different color, like a rainbow type pattern. And the thought there was maybe, each section of the zoo will have its own color theme. So each of the 4 lines is representing each of the different sections of the zoo maybe we're going to do. I don't know. I didn't put too much thought into it. I just thought it looked cool with each line a different color. And so I'm just kind of deciding now, like, where else do I want to have lights? Where else do I want to have anything going? And I decided to put some more lights throughout the garden. So I think this is it for the building part of these 4 structures. I think at this point I was pretty satisfied with how they looked. We can always add more stuff again later on, but now I decided to turn my attention to the actual bridge itself. And this was my first time ever constructing something like this. Again, I'm basing this very generally off of the bridge in Sydney Harbour, which has like a girder with the 4 buildings on the side. So I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to get this to work. So it was definitely a struggle and a work in progress. It was not the easiest thing I ever had to do. You can see here, I'm just trying to test fit pieces together, see what works. And I realized the best way to do it was take these angled grids, or girders, I should say, the angled girders, and just connect the ends and then kind of tilt them into my direction, because we're going to make this arch that covers the whole span of the bridge. So you can see here, now I have one side of the bridge done. I copied and pasted it to the other side to try and match it up. And again, these pieces don't necessarily fit together too great. So it's kind of, we're kind of doing our own thing here. And I got to figure a way to connect the top. So I put this little cube, ended up going with like a diamond shape, which I thought looked like a keystone. It looked kind of cool. I like the way it looked. So now we're going to copy and paste this or move it. And then we're going to double this over and transfer it to the other side of the bridge. So now we're going to come to the most challenging thing that was for me in this build, was just figuring out how to do like the bracing girders that go up and down this thing. The original bridge has angled ones. I thought at first maybe I could just get away with straight ones, and I tested it on a couple pieces, but I just did not like the way it looked at all. It just had no flow to it. I know there's actually, I'm sure there's a lot of bridges that have like a just straight up and down vertical girder type things, just like that, but for me it just did not work. So I think I tested on 2 different sections just to see what it would look like, and I was just not happy with it at all. I know on the original picture of the bridge that I was using, it's like an A or V shaped girders, so I've decided to switch it over to those, and I added a couple girders as was needed to fit. I buried the rest in the ground, and I capped it with like this little silver metal piece that they have in the collection here. And then I just ended up making just V shapes with all these pieces. And what I would do is I would just copy and paste each one to keep the angle the same. So the angle would be the same on all of them. I just transfer like this. I had set my first one, and then from the first one it led me to keep the angle for the rest of them, more or less. I mean, I don't think I did a perfect job in terms of keeping the angle and doing everything like that, but I think I did an okay job and good enough for this build. I think I came out pretty satisfied with the results, so hopefully you guys like it too. So by this point in the construction of this girder system I was getting pretty confident with it. I think it was looking pretty good. Everything seemed to be like symmetrical in a sense. I mean, I don't think this bridge is exact. Again, I'm just kind of like floating pieces in the air here. Really, what these pieces don't really click together. Like when you're constructing a building, they don't snap to it. So I'm kind of having to adjust everything manually myself. But I'm liking the way this is turning out. Again, there's a lot more that's going to go into it. This is just the basic outline that we're trying to do here, just to give it that look. And I do my best to try and replicate, as you know, like I said in the beginning of the video, like the homage to the Sydney Harbour Bridge, because we're doing this, hopefully this beautiful Australian zoo. Okay, as we're coming to the end of the side of the bridge girders, I'm shocked myself. I really like the way this looked. I'm like thinking there's no way I'm gonna do this a second time. So what I decided to do was just cheese it a little bit. I deleted this side and I went around and I copied every single piece, every single piece in this entire girder set. And I'm gonna try my best to copy this and paste this to the other side without screwing up. I was terrified that I was gonna make one mistake and have to unselect everything and reselect everything again. This is my biggest concern at the moment. So I was going very carefully, very closely, selecting everything, going through each piece, make sure each piece was selected, and really taking my time to make sure of that. But overall, the look, it's rustic, it's iron, it's girder, it's perfect for me. So here we go, and there it goes, and it worked. And it has a nice effect on the other side. Copy and paste it. There we go. Beautiful. So the next part we're going to look at is I wanted to have cross beams across the top. They've only got these really chunky girders that go across. I was thinking, is this going to work? It might be a bit too chunky. But I ended up going with it anyways. And I still have it now. I might change it. We'll see how it goes because they are a bit fat. You know, I was hoping for a little bit smaller one for the cross beams on top, but this is what the game has given us so far. I'm just trying to find the right selection of pieces to get like end cap on each one. That way the end cap can kind of stick out a bit, like so. And I was copying and pasting each one, but what I ended up doing is I ended up trying to make a blueprint for it. That way I can just go into it and just select it from like a pre-built item. I mean, it wouldn't let me do it until I came up with all these names for it, so I had to come up with the names and a price for it and everything. But once I had that done, it became significantly easier just to place this building every time. And I can go quickly place it and keep going down the row. Well, there's the cross girders done, and I'm deciding if I was able to do like an X shape. That's what I really want to do. I figured out a way to do an X shape piece on top, and then I realized that they're all different heights, and I'd have to like angle it down. And so while it might have been doable, I was just like, you know what? I think we're spent enough time on this bridge. I kind of want to move on to other things. And then what I decided to do was actually copy the whole top strip and actually hit that piece there. So I had to recopy everything. And what I did is I copied and pasted it, lowered it down to give it a secondary girder run, which is more in keeping with the actual bridge itself, which has an upper and a lower girder piece across. And I lined it up on the other side and did the same thing there. And this is more or less the iron bridge completed as it is right now. I think it looks great. And one final touch I decided to do, because, you know, I can never let things go, is I decided to add some cool light effects on the bridge. So when you're crossing it, it's almost like a magical thing when you're walking across. And what gives the most magical effect is I think these string lights. These string lights are absolutely great, and it gives it like almost a really carnival-like effect. And so I decided to copy the whole thing, attach them all together, and just like that, we're going across and putting lights under each girder. Well, there you go, guys. That's pretty much it. This is my idea I had. I wanted to have this dual stone building entranceway with an iron girder bridge that connects to the other side. And the actual bridge itself in real life actually has the bridge actually goes directly into these buildings. Obviously, that wasn't going to work for our purposes, but I think this came out actually pretty good. I really like the way this looks. And I think at nighttime, it's going to look even, even better with those, carnival lights hanging underneath. At this point now, it's just a matter of adding some decorations. Like I wanted to add a little bit more foliage and stuff before I left this project done. So I added more of these, I think they're called scalia. I'm not sure exactly what the name of these things are. I'm sure someone in the comments will let you know. It's awesome at filling out territory with some three-dimensional plant life. It looks really great, great coverage. And I tried to finish that off with a little bit of pop of color. Ended up going with some purple flowers around the outside as well, with some of these Australian themed trees. As you can see, I'm trying to keep everything on theme with Australia, even though it's the classical theme building. I think it's suited perfectly. And I just noticed there's space underneath those things. So actually I come back with some stones and fill that out because OCD reasons. I couldn't let it go. I'm like, no, that doesn't look right. So I filled out with some flowers, then I decided to come back and fill this out here with some stones. And like I said, I know this is going to be, I've decided this is going to be, I'm pretty sure, a crocodile enclosure here in this river. So I want to make sure that it's going to be, number one, safe, but also it's going to fit the theme for the crocodile as well. So I was keeping that in mind as I was doing this. I'm like, what kind of rocks? What's it going to look like? And so, yeah, I ended up going again with this red, they call it Savannah rock, but I want everything to be this red rock, this Australian colored. I mean, it's actually from the Africa set, I think, this Savannah rock. But it has the same type of red soil look as you would find maybe in Australia. Again, I haven't been there to see this myself, but just from pictures. And I filled it out with a few more layered stones underneath just to give it a look across. And then I decided this side is looking far too empty compared to that side. And I, paint over the terrain a bit with some soil, and I decided to put some stones here, and I decided to put a little rock, a triple rock formation here, which is like the most common type of decorative thing that I usually do. It's pretty simple, it's easy, it's just 3 rocks and some foliage around it, and it gives it an awesome little natural effect. And I put these stringy cactus-like plants here. Again, this is all from the Oceanic set, so I assume it's all on theme for Australia. I'm not an expert in Australian botany, but I thought that maybe anything that I would find in this set you would find in Australia. And here's look at that fig tree, maybe here's a palm, but I decided to go with something else. I decided to go with a little bit of a decorative item. there was a, I was going to go with the kangaroo, but I decided not yet. I'm going to go with this cassowary bird here. I'm going to put the statue here, and I'm going to fill out some foliage around it and give it a bit of a look. And I like the way it turned out. I think if I were to spend more time on this and add a little bit more plant life on it, I might end up being, this like that left-hand section there with that bird might end up being a little bit better. And here I don't want it to be symmetrical, but I want it to be synchronous in a sense. I wanted to have, you know, tree on one side, tree on the other side. It doesn't have to be the same size, the exact same looking tree, but similar, just has a similar dimension to it. So I filled this out with a little bit more plant life, and I think I would have gone back to do a little bit more plant life on that side too, but that's just personal preference. But pretty much at this point, this project I was considering to be in its final stretches here. I was adding a little bit more of these little spiny cactus-like plants. Again, it's all from the same oceanic set, and a little bit of natural pattern. There you go. That's pretty much it done, and I really like the way it came out. 2 entrances leading over one large bridge, which is going to lead to 2 ticket gates, and that path from behind the building is going to lead to the rest of the park. So listen, I really hope you guys enjoyed the video today. This is my first ever Planet Zoo video, and I really had a super fun time, like a blast building this. So I hope you guys really like this this type of video, and I'll definitely come back and build more things. Like I wanted to, I guess the next thing to do is I want to build some of the staff huts, because this is actually going to be a functional zoo. There's not just going to be all just decoration. There's going to be staff huts, staff buildings, the quarantine, the vet, all those different things that we need. So I hope you guys liked the video today. If you did, please drop a like. And if you really liked the video, please consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, peace out.